Get it going.
You guys watch Gameless?
We are, wait for it, live, gentlemen. Welcome, welcome. Episode 4, the redo. Unfortunately, if I could wear my dunce cap today, I would, but I can't. Technical issues kind of prevented us from the last episode 4, but we're back here to do it again. Hopefully things will go better this time, but welcome, boys.
Chalk it up to growing pains.
Yeah, don't worry. I was assured on the r/small time YouTubers that it is a rite of passage for every live stream YouTuber to at least once post a video without or record a video without their mic being plugged in. So
1,000%. 1,000%.
Yeah, they made me feel at home. Some guy was like he did like a 4-hour live stream, found out that it was completely no audio. 4 hours.
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough.
But cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Hey, cheers.
Welcome to JBO episode 4. What do we got on tap tonight? What are we drinking first of all, I guess?
Since I'm going back to the actual bourbon versus my typical cut water, so I'm going Booker's tonight.
Booker's,
nice. Andy, you're still a little grainy. I don't know if it's Cody. Are you?
Yeah, I think it was my internet connection, but
okay,
it should pick up.
I'm just sticking with what was closest to me, so I'm gonna just keep going with the hometown classic.
There you go.
Yeah, I got some Blade and Bow tonight.
Nice.
Is what I'm going with. Working on my 5 keys.
I was going to say, I noticed the keys gone. So
yeah, right.
Yeah.
I guess my wife said that she heard somewhere that like if you collect 5 keys and you send them in, they give you like a promotional thing or something.
That's cool.
There's one letter, I can't remember which one it is, that's really difficult to get. But I can't remember which one it was.
Oh, is it like letters? I thought it was just keys that you just have to send.
So the keys have like on the actual key, there's I can't remember if it's a number or a letter. I think it's a letter though. But similar to like the Blantons, like the horse, they've got some that are more difficult to find than others. But yeah, the key, the Blade and Bow keys, there's different ones.
Speaking of Blantons, moment of silence for right now, because we were going to have a severe shortage coming up here soon with Buffalo Trace being underwater. Have you guys seen any old pictures?
No. Oh, is it
pictures?
Yeah.
Any of the video or any of the footage?
No.
Oh, brutal. Buffalo Trace is completely underwater right now.
Oh, no, that's right, because the flooding.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
It's bad. I mean, half of Frankfurt's underwater right now. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And I always thought, I don't know, have you guys been there before?
No, I've not had a chance. My dad goes like twice a year.
Yeah, you got to do it. It's a freaking awesome campus.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was perched up higher, but apparently not. Like the main warehouse area where you check in is like right in the center of the campus. Is completely underwater. It's wild. Not completely, but like up to past the doors.
Enough.
It's pretty, enough. It's high. I mean, it's like 4 or 5 feet high. So at least the way that I saw it from the footage, I might be wrong on that, but yeah.
I did see. I did see that Cincinnati's basically underwater right now too. Like they've been posting pictures of it. I did not verify. I just saw like something like the river's like up. It's like 60 feet high or something like that. Just like from base to water level. Like
I didn't hear anything about this. What, like, there was actual flooding going on, like just from rain?
Horrible flooding. Jesus. So I spent my spring break in Branson because I went to go visit my son in college, and it rained from Wednesday to Saturday nonstop. And I'm not talking like a little bit of rain. I'm talking like big fat drop rain and nonstop. It probably stopped. It stopped Wednesday evening for a couple hours and then started right back up. And it literally didn't stop from Wednesday night all the way through Saturday when we left. And then I was still driving back home to Chicago, and I was driving through 6 hours of straight rain before I got to like past Peoria before it stopped.
Good Lord.
And it was, I mean, coming down in sheets, thunderstorms, just wave after wave. So we tried to go to Silver Dollar City. They had completely shut it down. Yeah, it's been really, really, really sad. So
It
Brutal.
says the Ohio River crest was cresting at more than 60 feet on Monday, bringing the possibility of more flooding in communities along the river. Significant flooding is spread from Ohio through Kentucky and Illinois and Indiana. Yeah.
Jesus.
yeah, Kentucky is getting and Kentucky was getting just walloped. So
Wow.
yeah,
That's brutal.
it's pretty sad. I was gonna try and share a picture, but yeah, I'm looking at this picture now of Buffalo Trace, and it was bad news. It's
Well,
wild. Yeah, all the
Yeah, seriously.
yeah,
I'll pour one. I'll pour it out through my stomach, but
right.
at this point we need to go into conservation mode here.
Yeah, that's true. I may have poured too heavy considering that.
right.
We should have started with that.
Right. Yeah. Pretty soon this is going to be a podcast about prison wine instead of bourbon.
Yeah. Right. So in today's toilet wine.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Branson was having roads just completely washed out because the river was so high. And what's funny, on Tuesday we went for a horseback ride in a canyon, and it was we were basically walking a dry riverbed for about 2-3 miles, and I was looking around, I was pointing out to my wife like where the grass was in relation to the dry riverbed, of like where it was like piling up against deadfall and stuff. I'm going, this sucker gets high, and I can't imagine that what that is. That was over at Dogwood Canyon, and for Bass Pro Shops runs it. Wild. It's got to be completely washed out. It's nuts.
Goodness gracious.
Crazy stuff. But anywho.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Cody said that it's stretching all the way up to Cincinnati, and I was about to ask him, wait, you're not in Cincinnati? I know.
Well, I did go. I went back to Ohio last weekend. Actually, I flew in Saturday morning, caught opening weekend, caught the Red Saturday game, and then went back Sunday, caught the afternoon game, and then flew back. But speaking of horrible weather in the Midwest, that Sunday there was supposed to be some pretty gnarly storms, including some tornado watch. And I got to the airport at like 5:30. I got there early because I didn't want, my dad was dropping me off, and I didn't want him driving 2 hours back through that. So he dropped me off at like 5:30. My flight wasn't supposed to leave till 9:50. At like 8 o'clock, because I'm posted up looking outside the window, and all I see is all the airport staff sprinting across the tarmac and running inside, and I see all the planes start unloading, and then a notification over the intercom comes in. It was like, we asked that everyone head to the tunnels for the trains and duck and cover. I'm like, okay. So
don't worry, I was already ducking and covering.
Right. So needless to say, what I was supposed to have gotten home at 11:30, I ended up getting home at 3:30, and then my children were, to be fair, excited to see me in the morning. Woke me up at 6:15. So I was in a different sort of mental state on Monday, but we got through it.
Yeah, those assholes. Kids are always like that. Yeah, I was gonna say. So you did go to opening weekend for Cincy. What I don't. I'm being a bad fan outside of my own homers. What's the outlook for Cincy like this year in baseball?
It's so hard to tell because, well, one, I mean, it's like Cincinnati tradition to start slow and then spend the rest of the season trying to dig ourselves out of a hole that we dug ourselves. But it's crazy because, like so we won the Saturday game that I went to, and then we lost the Sunday game like 6-3 or something like that. And then we went 30 innings without scoring a single run. 30 consecutive innings. and then I think we scored 11 runs the next game. Like, what are we doing? Like, it's
That's
every
like Chicago,
series.
but without the 11 runs.
Yeah,
Right.
I think we've lost every series, but at least one game in every series, we've destroyed the other team. So we like won like 11 to it was like 11-3 or something like that, and then lost 0-1, 0-1 the next two games. What are we supposed to do here? I mean, the
Right.
good news is our pitching is solid. I mean,
Nice.
Hunter Green pitched 8 1/3 shutout innings, and we won 0-2, 2-0. Thank God.
Yeah.
But it's we have the opposite problem of the Bengals. The Bengals were all offense, no defense. Well, we're all defense, no offense
No
for
offense.
the
Yeah.
Ravens. So
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. The good news is we have a young team. So
Yeah.
we'll see. How about the Cubs?
Cubs are still the Cubs, man. Though we did have a pretty good start. Our season started in freaking Tokyo before everybody else's did. They did this Tokyo series this year where it was kind of at the tail end, but before spring training closed. And 2 of the 4 games they played there were actually part of the regular season. So they had to go spring training, go to Tokyo, come play 2 games that meant something, come back and do more spring training. Like it was weird, and it didn't make a lot of sense. But of course they played the Dodgers, so they got pretty well walloped in Tokyo.
Well, that makes more sense. Gotcha.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It was the Shohei Ohtani. Like, I mean, really, if you look at it,
you were
it was
just the victim of that circus.
it was I mean, if you look at it, it was Shohei and Roki Sasaki against we've got Shota Imanaga and Seiya. So it made some sense. There was good representation from Japan in order to do that there. So I get why they did it, but it was like the timing of it was weird, and the fact that they made them non-exhibition games was kind of weird as well too. But
and why 2?
I think because they wanted to no, you're right. They wanted to feature some of the Japanese teams, so they wanted to do a couple games where the Japanese team played. So I don't know if I'd have to go back and see if the Dodgers actually played any exhibition games too. But we played a total of 4 games there, 2 of which were exhibition against one of the Japanese league teams, and then 2 of which were. So I think they were just maybe trying not to burn them out by making them play more than.
It should have just been 1 exhibition and then 3.
Right. No, you're right. That's a better setup, but. In any event, like we're pretty pumped about our outlook this year. Justin Tucker was a massive upgrade for us. So that's huge. But now we got to figure out how to freaking sign him long term, because we didn't give up a lot in the trade to get him. We gave up like a top prospect, which. It ended up being a little bit scary of a situation, because like he actually ended up this guy was like a prospect who was probably 2-3 years out in terms of our farm system. We traded him thinking, okay, yeah, this guy it'll take a while for him to even get into our big league roster, and then he made the Astros opening day roster. So now people are looking at it like, crap, if we got rid of this guy, he makes a big league roster, and then we turn around and can't sign this dude to an extension and he walks in free agency. That's not a good look at all. So the pressure is definitely on, but he is pretty much making or break. Like, he's just straight raking. Dude's like 1.2 OPS or something right now to start the season. He's every bit as advertised and more. So I hope they do the right thing and extend him, but it is the freaking Ricketts, and everybody's talking about how the pessimism on this getting done is just through the roof.
Really?
Everybody's like, there's no way, because they've been picking at them. Like, the national media has been picking at the Cubs too. Like, you guys are a top market team, and your payroll for your roster is like terrible. Like it's
Yeah.
and they said, oh, and then Ricketts came out and he says, oh, we barely break even every year in terms of revenue. Like, and then they did some analysis on that one, and it's like unless you're blowing all your money on hookers and blow, like there is no way. Like the amount of revenue you make is insane, and your payroll is terrible. Where's the discrepancy here? What is it that's causing you to barely break even every year? So, and I guess
lived
just
across the street from that stadium for 3 years during the worst of times, and that stadium was never empty.
Right. Well, that's what I always said is like the Cubs have the picture perfect product. And I might have said this on before too. They have the quality of their product does not have to be good in order for it to sell. like Wrigley Field, there's a reason it, like people go there, and for a while it was called the number one singles bar in Chicago. Like it was just a party place for people to go. And oh yeah, by the way, there's a shitty baseball game that went on.
Right.
So like it was perfect for anybody who owned the Cubs, because at the time that was even before Ricketts, but they didn't have to do anything. And then like I always said, at some point they're going to put together a bunch of ragtags. It's going to be like the Major League movie story, like, oh, we're about to sell the team, put a bunch of crappy guys out there who just finally figure out how to gel together, and then put the pressure on them. Exactly, the misfit toys thing. But yeah, that's, I mean, to a certain degree, that was. I wouldn't say that's what happened in 2016 when we won, because we definitely had pretty big payroll back then. But like, moving forward, after we gutted the core, took it down to the studs, there's just been no pressure to win anymore, and with the way they make money. So we'll see.
Yeah, you guys had.
But I'm rocking the jersey because we had a good start. So
there you go. Who all did you get? You had, was it Bryant, Rizzo? Like, who all was on? I mean, that was a stud.
El Mago. We had Javi Baez, who like, talk about the difference between like on the Cubs and after leaving the Cubs. What like the massive fall off.
Yeah.
Like that dude, he might not last the rest of the season even. Like he might have to go play somewhere else. Like it's just crazy to me how much he fell off.
Yeah. Speaking of crazy, what are our thoughts on the old torpedo bats?
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah. Did you hear about this, Jason?
No, you guys are into my my domain that I rarely go into. So
yeah. Well, long story short, I'll make it quick. So the Yankees are going to Yankee. They're going to use their money and try to find loopholes and ways to get an advantage, which when you have the money they have and you can hire MIT or whoever the hell it was to essentially like reinvent the wheel as far as bats go. So long story short, they basically hired was it some engineers? I think it was MIT. It was some big college, whatever. But long story short, they found that basically as long as the dimensions of the bat, like height or like length to width to it can't exceed this width or whatever, are the same, they found that what they can do is instead of, like a traditional barrel, it kind of starts skinny and goes up, and then it's a pretty consistent length, the whole bat, like width of the bat. Well, they've moved some of the weight and some of the wood from the end of the bat towards the sweet spot. So now that the sweet spot of the bat is more dense, and it's I think it was the very first game that the Yankees played with it. They broke the all-time record for most home runs in a game. Was it 9 or 11?
Yeah, it was
in one game.
I don't remember, but it was ridiculous.
Outrageous. So it was I want to say Aaron Judge had 2 home runs, or had a grand slam and 2 home runs in that game.
In the game.
The home run, the first 3 pitches of that game were home runs. The first game that they introduced it. The very next game, the first pitch was a home run again. So
wow.
So
before we go any further, I gotta pause for a second here.
sure.
I gotta pause on the stream. So anybody that's watching, I gotta pause for a second because I see what's going on now. Hold up 1 second. Yeah. So we'll wait for a second and it should be back up.
Should I
600
go to
frames.
60 hertz or I've
No, you're good. No, you guys are all good.
the anti-flicker?
No,
I
we're
had it
back live. We're back live now again.
Okay,
So we're
okay.
we're all good. Yeah, it was just
Okay.
it was a setting on my end. So I apologize to everybody, but we're back. So yeah, so the bat was insane. And it turns out too that I guess the Cubs have claimed that they knew about this bat and have been possibly using it for a while as well too. Maybe some people, I think I heard that.
Oh,
So
I don't know. I heard about that. I mean, obviously, like,
so point being, it's not just a Yankee thing. I feel like
Right.
like it's
right. Well, no, like everyone's placing orders now. Yeah.
right.
Like,
Yeah.
I saw something about like the Dodgers after the second game immediately placed like enough to like give everyone like they're like, we're gonna replace everything.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
See all those old bats? Throw them out. We're getting new ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy technology.
Yeah.
No. Well, yeah, and that'll be interesting to see if the MLB keeps letting that go, or if they just try to regulate it out.
It's a
But-
home
It'll
run
be tough
league.
to
They're
do
gonna,
one season.
It is a home run league. You're right, but yeah, like but you also have to look at it from the other perspective of like baseball is like super sensitive about performance enhancements and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So
And
like
tradition.
there's a whole. If it was a home run league, we would be okay with having a corked bat, in my opinion. So like,
Right.
what's
Right.
the difference from like from using cork bats versus like. I mean, I guess technically the cork bat is breaking an already written rule, and whereas
Right.
this bat's not
more of a
necessarily
loophole.
breaking. Yeah, it's more of a loophole than breaking a rule. So it'll be interesting to see how they handle it because I think there's some heightened sensitivity around the concept of performance enhancing gear when it comes to baseball versus versus other sports. But yeah, it's
But
like what if you want more home runs, then let them do this.
Right.
It's also a safety issue though, because you have to think that pitcher is only 60 feet 6 inches. If that ball's coming 10 miles an hour faster off the bat, I mean, it's already impossible to get your glove up in time to stop one coming at your face. But
Do they
Right.
know? Does it
split sec-
does it impact the structural integrity of the bat anymore? Because I know for a while they were having issues with like the new maple bats or whatever that would just like get sawed off on like
explode,
yeah.
explode, and it's basically a projectile.
Right.
through the infield.
So I'm wondering,
I
I
haven't
feel
seen
like
that.
if this bat does that, then they'll probably regulate it, I imagine. But
Mhm.
Interesting.
And I don't think it's like a 10 mile an hour exit velo difference either, but
Mhm.
it's obviously doing something.
right.
Clearly.
It's obviously doing something.
Yeah.
Clearly.
But,
Yeah, it's kind of like this this board over my shoulder, the whiteboard. It's
Mhm.
I call that a volume shifted board. It's because it's all, you see how it's like very short, stubby, and
It
fat.
is, yes, stubby.
It's,
Yeah.
so usually because of my weight and my size, I have to ride like a 163 centimeter board, which is a really, really long board, really, really hard to control. But they went to this, so the manufacturer of the snowboard came out with this concept of volume shifted, where they just compressed everything and just made it fatter, so they can compensate for the length. So you get the same amount of control, but with a shorter. Well, actually, you get better control because you have a shorter board, because longer boards are harder to control.
Hard to- yeah.
Yeah, so you can manipulate the board a lot better for
but it's a
people that are,
wider base.
but it has a wider base, so you could do more tricks on it. It's got more surface area, so so very similar thing, right? Like interesting.
Physics, man. Physics. How does it work?
Oh, right.
Magnets. Just all magnets. Everything's magnets.
That's about it. That's about it. So, changing subjects slightly.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's on our topic list, but it was something that I tossed over to Cody earlier. Was it or last week? Last week when I was on vacation, it popped up. So NBC Sports. I don't know if you saw this, Andy. This kind of crazy idea that Cincinnati moves to Chicago. Have you seen this?
I caught a tiny glimpse of that. I did not I
It's
thought
a
it was
short
clickbait.
article. No, it's NBC Sports. So like someone wrote it.
Right. I did. Yeah.
it's
When
cool
as soon as you said
clickbait, but
NBC Sports, I was like, wait, was that what? It
no,
it's a
it's a legit
It was
article.
a proposal, yeah. It was like the author of the article was like, "Hear me out.
Yeah, right.
This is a real possibility. Like this makes sense. Like
Yeah.
the Bengals contract in Cincinnati is running up in 2027, I think it
No,
is.
this is the last year, 25.
Oh, I thought 2027 was the first year they could be in another city. Got you.
No, you might be right. You might be right.
maybe.
Okay, well, yeah.
calendar
So
year.
basically, like next year is the
Yeah.
last year
Yeah,
of the contract. And I mean, there's definitely from a Bengals fan, there's definitely pros and cons. Like,
right.
I mean, Chicago's a major market.
Right.
Cincinnati is not. And our owner is not independently wealthy. Like the Brown family, their money is from the football team.
Mhm.
So
So
the more money
so are
the
Bears.
football team makes, right? The more money the football team makes, if it's in a bigger market, then we can start affording to make these guaranteed contracts that are holding us back. Because, you know,
Yeah.
they obviously didn't hold us back from Chase or Higgins, but good luck anyone else that's
Mhm.
left. Like, you know, but
Yeah, so the Bears
I mean, it wouldn't be the same outside of Cincinnati, though. You
So
know?
so
No.
what was the premise that like
So the premise
Chicago,
is,
the Bears are moving to Arlington Heights and we want to put another team in Chicago proper?
not
No.
necessarily. So no, it was a tax thing. So because the McCaskies want the state to put tax money into and partially fund or half fund. I mean, I think they're at like 50% at this point. They want them to fund a large portion of the stadium. Obviously, we're dragging our feet because Illinois is in such massive debt. They don't want to be throwing that money into there as bad politically, just bad all around financially. So they're like, hey, we've got this other team. They can foot some of that bill. You guys could share the costs. You could double the amount of games in Chicago in a large market that typically has two teams. You look at California,
LA,
you look at
New York.
New York.
Yep.
Like Ken House could easily take on two teams and has in the past.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's close vicinity. You've got people
It
that travel
hasn't in the way past, but has in the past.
way past. Yes, way past. Yeah, 70 years past. But
Right.
yeah, but still, like
I
it's a
mean,
large-
the Jets and the Giants have been playing in the same stadium for decades.
Right.
Right.
No, I get that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, I guess I don't know. I'm trying to be open-minded, I guess, about it, but
it's a
yeah.
crazy idea. Don't get me
no,
wrong.
it is.
Oh, yeah.
It is. Yeah, for
But
sure. It's provocative, and it was meant to be provocative. I feel like.
It totally
Right,
going to be provocative. But I mean, like financially, if you look at just the numbers, it makes total sense.
I mean, look at LA. Like,
Right.
you know, the Rams are there. You know, the Rams came from, you know,
I see that.
But what?
From
St. Louis.
St. Louis,
And
yeah.
then San Diego came up. The Chargers came up, and both of those teams are crushing it.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I get it you know, but like, I don't think we have as much of a financial build a stadium issue as we think we do. I think
The McCaskies can totally foot this bill on their own.
right, and I you know, I think I think this whole we want Illinois money is just good. Like, I don't want to say good because it's not good for Illinois, but like it's just good business from the Bears. Like,
right. Why take
know,
on the risk if they don't have to?
States fund. Yeah, exactly. States are notorious for funding adventures like this in other situations. Why not ask Illinois to do that as well too? And to a lesser, you know, probably to a greater degree, why not ask Chicago to do that as well too? And I think that's the reason why Chicago's even kind of in the mix at this point, is because it's like, okay, well, if you guys can give us some money to do this, we'll ignore the fact that we have the land out in Arlington Heights to build this on. We'll stay in Chicago. But like all this stuff to me just seems like posturing. And then you add in the fact that they instituted that percentage of like investment, external investment.
Mm-hmm.
in teams as well too. So now every team has the opportunity to, I think, invest, like take on an investor up to like 1 to 2% of the team's value externally to add more funding for things like stadium projects and stuff like that. So the Bears have tons of options. I mean, they have the money, first of all, to do it. Then they have then they have the idea that they could possibly turn the screws any tighter to Chicago and or Illinois. Seems unlikely either one of those two would budge. Probably more Chicago than Illinois, but at this point.
Broke.
But they're both pretty broke. So I see them funding this stadium purely, by like in terms of the stuff that they wouldn't fork over themselves. Probably not, state or city government, but more so in external investors. And I think they even said they'd be willing to do that as well too. They have gone on record, I believe, as saying that they will seek external funding via that 2% rule or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Oh, it's an interesting concept for sure, but
in theory,
but yeah, it would be cool to have another team to root for. Not like I can't root for Cincinnati as it stands, but yeah.
I told Jason when he sent me that article, it's like, if the Bears and the Bengals are both in Chicago, I'm moving back. I'm moving back.
Well, that would be cool. We would take you back for sure.
Yeah.
We'll take you back, and then we're gonna have to go get a studio to make this thing happen.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Well,
yeah, because that's the biggest issue right now.
Right.
The only issue we have from this thing taking off to the moon right now is the fact that Cody lives in friggin' Hilton Head. 0 concurrent viewers, 0 chats, 0 views on the
right.
I'm
if only we had our own studio.
Yeah.
Our wives would go for that. That's something that would be right on their priority list for sure.
That would go perfectly fine.
But I guess like
convince Joan to move back for our
for the podcast. Yeah, doing it for the podcast.
How many views do you have? 0 views. 0 views. But we're getting better.
We're gonna as soon as we get this demo tape into the recording studio, we're gonna take off, man.
Breakout season. Let me tell you.
But but yeah, I guess stuff like that, like when NFL's in the middle of the dog days of pre-camp and stuff like that, I guess those types of things come out. But
yeah, for sure. Oh yeah, you gotta talk about something.
Right.
So
speaking of talking about something, I guess we'll do another topic change. Any thoughts on oven chicken hitting the 8.90.95?
It's crazy. It's crazy. That's crazy.
Ovechkin, who I refer to
as chicken. I have no idea what's going on now.
For as long as I can remember, I've always looked at his name and thought it looked like the words oven and chicken. So I call him oven chicken.
I will give you. I had to do a double take when you mentioned it over text, and I was like, oh, yeah, okay, I know who he's referring to.
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's
dude, it was pretty wild. Like, I mean, and he tied the record. Yeah, it was not only was it bound to happen, but like that's his whole I'm convinced at this point that that's his whole reason for staying right now was to break the which to that end, like I have such a conflicting relationship with Ovi. He's part of the generation of of superstars in the NHL right now that like I initially hated because it was around the time that the Blackhawks were good. So rivalries, anybody who's good, you're gonna root against. But
I've always personally liked Ovi.
But I kind of did. I kind of did like him, if I'm being honest with myself. And so after the Hawks started to suck and he stuck around, the more I grew to like him and grew to understand him more. And I think, and he's matured a little bit. But I will say that sticking around, thankfully the Caps are good enough at this point to actually like kind of justify sticking around. Like he might actually get another cup out of that if he does. Because I think they're number 1 in the West right now, if I'm not mistaken. But at first I was like, dude, are you just like kind of like pulling a LeBron, like just hanging around just to break records and or stupid non-team related?
Does he have a
issues.
son coming up the ranks that we don't know about?
Trust me,
he can force his organization to draft in the first round, even though he belongs in the D League.
Right.
His kids got plenty of airtime throughout this chase for $8.95, and they are, well, they're closer than we think to probably breaking in the league, but they're still he's I don't think he's going to be around.
With hockey, you never know. Some of these kids get drafted when they're 16, 15 years old.
Right, and then you got Gordie Howe, who plays till he's like 75 years old, and stuff too. So it could theoretically it could happen, but
what's his age now?
Ovi?
Yeah, he's got to be in his
I mean, he's salt and pepper pretty good.
Early 40s, yeah. Very late 30s or early 40s.
Yeah,
he's got to be in his 40s. He's got to be.
I don't know. Every hockey player is younger than me, so I just say which is a sad realization. I mean, like every sports player, but every hockey player, which usually tends to have people that play a lot longer.
He's 39.
Yeah. See?
Oh my God, that's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, which I'm well, and I'm about to be 43, so he could have been 40, but like my default answer to that is late 30s, or so.
Yeah, I love that. It's a real moment of panic when let's say like you start a new like NCAA football game or whatever, and you're like putting in your age, and you have to start scrolling to find your age. It's not
right,
one of the options when you start
not on the first page.
The player you're creating.
I always appreciate like
I'm starting to get to page 3 now.
Yeah.
I always appreciate when forms very easily allow me to go back 40 years when I'm putting in my birth date.
Yeah, right.
That is true. That is true.
But yeah, I don't know if you guys saw, like, so he tied the record against the Blackhawks.
I saw that. I'm just glad he didn't break it against the Blackhawks.
That's a Chicago tradition.
Yeah, I would have been surprisingly okay with it, but I'm glad that he didn't. Though, like, 2 goals in that game, even for Ovi, is just like, all right, are you trying to let him break it against you?
Right. Right.
Like, and it was,
he breaks it with a hat trick.
Right. And to be honest, he could have had a hat trick a couple different ways. The very first goal of that game was inches away from being a redirect by him. He was on the backside. The puck kind of squirted through, got past Spencer Knight, I think was the goalie, and it just went in before he could tap it in. So like if you add that one in, it would have been a hat trick. And then to his credit, after he got the second one and it was clear that the game was close enough that we were going to pull our goalie, they did a shot of the coach talking to him, and later find out, he was asking him, do you want me to put you in if they go empty net? And he said no. He's like, no, I don't want to break the record
on an empty net.
Exactly. So I give him credit for all of that, like combined. It was not an empty net and not against the Blackhawks, which made me happy.
That makes you like Ovi that much more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was classy.
Yeah, it's pretty classy. But they did like a freaking 40-minute like ceremony mid-game after he breaks the record. Like everybody stops, they roll out the carpet, they wheel Gary Bettman's zombie ass out there. Everybody boos him. Gretzky comes out, and then Gretzky was pretty gracious too. I think that was pretty awesome, because I know deep down he probably didn't want his record to get broken either, but he was pretty gracious. And Ovi gave him good hat tip and enough obvious credit for holding the record for as long as he did and stuff. So
I saw a video yesterday that was like, someone pretending to be Wayne Gretzky. He's like, wow, these are the sticks now? Man, technology these days. You know, I'd score 1,000 if I had these, right?
Right. Yeah.
That's about it. That's about it. Well, it reminds me of kind of Emmett and Walter. Like Emmett was really gracious too.
Mm-hmm.
And he was really cool about it, even though,
Walter?
he knew damn well that he ran behind one of the best offensive lines in football ever,
Mhm.
and the Cowboys, and for him to break that record.
Oh,
And then
yeah.
the story with Ashton Kutcher, that you ever see that clip
No.
where he's sitting in a box or something. I can't remember how Ashton tells it. It's freaking great. He said he was sitting in the box with a friend and whatnot, and they were having this big debate on who was better, or who was the better running back, and Emmett, either Emmett or
Mhm.
Peyton, and they were going back and forth and whatnot. And Ashton, I don't know if he was in the room with them or whatnot, went over to Emmett and was like, "Hey, man," he goes, "Who's the best running back?" He goes, "Oh, Walter Payton,
Oh!
without a
Wow.
doubt."
Hilarious.
So he's a cool
I
dude.
didn't know that. I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah. Look it up. It's out there on YouTube, floating out there. It's pretty funny.
That's awesome.
So,
That's
so
awesome.
did you guys watch any of the final last night?
NCAA's?
Yeah.
No.
Oh,
No.
I didn't get a
man,
chance to.
sloppy game.
Was
Sloppy
it
game.
sloppy?
It was a
Yeah.
close one, right? It's like there was it like 65, 63 or something?
67, 64, or 60, yeah, 67, 64, something like that. It was a 2-point game, a 3-point game, 2-point game. Yeah, it's crazy. Sloppy as hell, man.
Mhm.
It was great. It was nuts. First of all, I mean, Houston shouldn't have been there in the first place. I mean, Duke was spanking
Weren't they
them.
a number 1 seed?
They
were.
were. But
But I heard Duke did collapse.
just collapsed in the last minute of that game, and Houston pulled it out. And it was funny because Houston, the same thing happened in the game. I mean, Florida was absolutely collapsing for most of that game, was playing absolute garbage basketball, and then all of a sudden at the very end, with the last 60 seconds, they pull it out.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I liked the fact that we lost Jason. I like the fact that it was like all number 1 seeds in the Final Four. Like for some reason,
Very often.
like I love a good underdog story. Don't get me wrong. Like Cinderella stories. That's what March Madness was made for. Anytime, like the low seeds make this massive run. But like it always burns me when they like hit the Final Four and that's the end of it. And like it's so much. It's infinitely more difficult to make it as you keep going on in the in those ranks as like a 11, 12 plus seed. So while I like that stuff, it's like I also would prefer every now and then for us to have all number 1 seeds in the end, because it means the people that are judging this thing know what they're talking about. So.
Right. And then you got the teams coming into it that had absolutely zero chance. I mean, but you get a lot of surprises. I mean, there was a couple of 1 seeds that were knocked off this year that were, I can't recall the rando teams that they played. I watched a couple of them. I can't remember them offhand, but they were. I mean, that was pretty surprising too. So
Yeah.
I mean, Clemson got beat by a team I've never even heard of before.
that's the one I was referring to. Yeah.
That was the McNeese State or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I feel like of all the big sports, the major sports at least, like basketball, I feel like is the most likely for an underdog to have a chance. Because football, you gotta have 22 starters on the field, right? Like you gotta have like 22 solid players. In basketball, you really only need to have like 5 studs and then like a 6th man that's like pretty decent, and you could like skate through with some breathers in there. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're just out there to manage breaks from time to time. For their starters.
Play defense, don't turn the ball over, give our guys a breather, and then get the hell out.
No, it's a great point. Yeah, great point.
The amount of turnovers in this last game were mind-boggling. It was some of the sloppiest basketball I've ever seen, let alone being in a national champ. Bricks, air balls, just really, really poor offense. I mean, Houston played some really great defense, but and then just and I don't know how you guys, if you guys watched enough NCAA basketball, but the instant replay, I don't know. I was getting in a debate with a coworker today about whether it was good or bad or whatnot.
Mhm.
To me, it killed the momentum of that game.
Mhm.
Probably,
It just and it was crazy too because
sometimes
there
that's
were
a strategy though. Like if you need to slow shit down, like,
right.
Mhm.
And what was crazy, there was a couple of key out of bounds plays that were quite obvious. And the ref was literally standing 3 feet from from the play, saw the whole thing, called the play, and they still reviewed it. And I'm
yeah,
like,
momentum
yes, it was at a key moment in the game. Yes, it was an important play, but dude, at some point, you got to make the call, and it wasn't that not obvious. Like it was pretty obvious that it hit the guy's knee. So
Yeah.
like for them to have to go redo it and whatnot, it just seems so clunky, and it kills the momentum of the team that's in the process of scoring. So, and quite frankly, I think it really killed the momentum of Houston. They were on a roll. They had them. They
Yeah.
had them, they had them against the ropes, and they were going to put them away, and they just let Florida claw back, and they played a couple of got a couple of key turnovers at key times, and were able to put it away. And Florida was horrible. The field goal percentage, this guy, I didn't see what the field goal percentage was, but it was really poor. I
Yeah.
mean, the amount of air balls I saw in that game were crazy.
Atrocious, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, regarding the replay stuff, I'm a big fan of anything we could do to remove the human element and making sure we get the call right. I think, yeah, like, so I get that. I think where the happy medium lies here for me is like in basketball, it seems to, and I guess some other sports too, but in basketball, it seems to just take forever for them to come to a consensus. And to your point, that's a momentum killer. We have momentum killers already built into most sports. They're called timeouts. There's a reason why, you call them to ice kickers, you call them to ice to
Right.
slow people down,
Yeah.
So if we can get to the point where a replay in terms of true momentum killers is no more than a timeout, I think we've kind of hit the right spot right now. But like, yeah, nothing bothers me more than like when I start to feel as a spectator, why the F is this taking so long? Like, let's go. We need to get this,
It's
but
already
like,
taken too long. If that's
it's
the
already,
way
yeah.
it's already taken too long.
They
Because
need
like,
to
I
take
mean, I hate timeouts
MLB.
too. As a spectator, I hate timeouts. So
Right.
like you get into basketball, it's down to 2 minutes. Every time somebody, like especially the way basketball rules are laid out, you hit a basket, you call timeout, the other team gets it at half court. And I
Right.
think that's NBA I think it's NBA only, but like now you're incentivized to take a timeout late in the game, whether you need it or
In a half
not,
court that you're
because
not
you
spending that
have the
time.
court. Yeah, exactly. So I hate those too. I feel like those are momentum killers. So I think we need to like bring replay to the point where it's no more impactful than a timeout.
Right.
Like if we can get it to that
You
point.
got to do something because yeah, you're right. I mean, it kills some momentum, and I don't know. There's got to be a way that they can do it for controversial calls. The problem is all they've done is they've shifted the subjectivity, right? Because now no longer is the subjectivity on the call that's made on the court. Oh, and it's I don't know what happened there, but we're gonna try and zoom out here.
You're good for the moment. You're not.
Yeah.
It's not like. Yeah.
But it just all it did was shift the subjectivity, right? So it shifted
Mhm.
it from being a call on the court to now the referees making the call of when they're going to review, which
Mhm.
in my opinion neither is good.
Yeah.
So because there's things that they and I'm going to try and get this back here. Let's see if I can get it back. But yeah, like what?
There
There
you
we go. There we go.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah. So anyway, I was saying it's the same thing. It's the subjectivity. It's all like you're just shifting it because there's calls that they should be reviewing that they're not.
That they're not. Yeah.
They
And
need to take the MLB tennis approach. Like we're gonna review it or whatever. You get 2 challenges. If it's
Right.
unsuccessful, you lose it. But all right, we're going to challenge it. Okay, video comes up on the screen. You see what happens. You make the call right there. Like,
Right.
Yeah, I almost
yeah.
think too. I think the taking it out of the team's hands might be an option for me too. Like, I feel like I don't
That's what
know
it is.
I don't know the economics of things, but like to me, I feel like the major sports should be able to fund having a control room, watching the games at all times, and able to signal in real time to the referees when something is wrong or needs further review. And because I think football does that a little bit, and
Mhm.
and there's some other sports that do that. And to me that's more, like I think it's like the touchdown, like every touchdown's reviewed now. So like the fact that they pause for like a couple seconds just to get the confirmation from the control room. Yep, that's good. Let's move on. That to me has been less of an impact than throw the red flag. Let's get everybody the Gatorade, roll the Gatorade out. Let's all cut to commercial for 30
Yeah.
seconds, like
That's
those sorts of things.
accelerated the game. I
Yeah.
not accelerated the game, but I actually think like you don't notice it, and it's very
Right.
seamless.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think we need to like move towards those things. And like I said, I don't know the economics of it. If it requires a ton of extra, money or investment in order to make sure all games are being watched by a control room and the logistics behind it. But like, to me, that's more ideal. Like, I'd rather some neutral third party be involved in at least paying attention to when things need to be reviewed rather than leaving it up to the coaches. There's certain aspects of coaches challenges that I do like in the strategery, but like more so judging coaches by their inability to effectively use their challenges. That was very near and dear to our hearts with the Eberflus. We could judge him based on his complete ineptitude with coaches challenges. So that was helpful in eventually getting the cancer out of our organization. Which if that was taken out of his hands and put into some other neutral third party's hands, we might still be stuck with an Eberflus. But so I get that aspect of it, but I think by and large, I think it needs to be controlled by a control room, essentially.
I think part of the problem you have with NCAA too is you have all these schools, right, that are different money, like
NCAA is probably not a good.
But they could do it for March Madness, though.
Well, I would say for a tournament, I mean, everything has, a lot of sports have different accommodations once you get into the playoffs or stuff like that. Like, why wouldn't? And God knows March Madness brings in enough money. Like, I understand, like, not doing it during the regular season. Sure, that makes sense. But come March Madness, there's more than
you can't get this really like you got this gimbaled friggin' iPad that comes out, and then the refs can't even they're not even mic'd up, so they're speaking into this damn mic. It's so it's so freaking clunky. It looks like it's something that should have been 10 years ago, and now they're doing it now. It just, I don't know. It killed the momentum of that game. Not that the momentum needed any killing, because they were doing enough of it on their own with their air balls. But yeah, it was.
But it impacted the game.
It impacted the game for sure. And impacted the Duke Houston game too. So yeah, it was unfortunate, but yeah, good. It's still a good game. I love games. I love those games that come down to the wire. You can't help but feel horrible for Duke, for Houston. I mean, they definitely gave it their all. So yeah, it's tough seeing those kids. Obviously losing out, but hell, yeah. So
their lives will go on.
Their lives will go on.
There's life after sports, man.
Your life after sports, except for Case Keenum, and he's still playing.
Yeah.
You like that transition? You like that?
That was a good transition. Yeah. I mean, I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I'm not gonna hate on that signing. I do. I mean, now it's making it sound like I actually do hate it, but I really. When you say you don't hate something, it makes it seem like you did hate it at some point.
Right.
Right. But no, I genuinely think it was a veteran quarterback is the right move. Right
for
now.
a young quarterback.
Yeah.
You needed somebody in there.
You needed somebody. And you know, I love Tyson Bagent, and I hope, you know, I hope whatever he wants happens for him. If he wants to stay a backup quarterback and sit behind Caleb Williams as an insurance policy, great, I'll take him. If he wants to go be a starter on some other NFL team, I support
He's gonna,
that decision as well,
that kid's gonna get his shot. He's gonna get his shot.
I hope so. If that's what he wants, I hope he gets it.
His dad no.
Huh?
Who's gonna tell his dad no?
Right, exactly.
That was my fantasy team name this year. Tyson Bagent's blood pressure. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, the kid's definitely got a ceiling, but I mean, he's got promise. He's certainly got the ambition. And
he's a great kid.
Core.
Like
So.
I say that with all respect, because I think, you know, yeah, for a kid, you look at him and you're like, this kid wants to play.
Yeah.
Being a backup quarterback in the NFL is probably one of the best jobs you possibly could have.
100%.
So it may seem like weird to say, like, oh, somebody aspires to be a backup quarterback in the NFL. I don't fault anybody for wanting to be a backup quarterback in the NFL. If that's what this kid wants.
Andrew Luck and Tua and their longevity versus
exactly
Case Keenum.
Right. Case Keenum, exactly. Yeah.
Case Keenum's got to be in his 40s or close. He's got to be up there.
Yeah.
I mean, and he's still.
No, he's 39. I'm telling you, he's 39. Yeah. Look it up right now.
Yeah, right.
Now I am gonna look it up because we got to figure that one out. Okay, Case Keenum. How old is Case Keenum here? All right, let's see. Where is it? He's 37. You're close. Close.
Yeah.
37.
That's 75 in quarterback years. It's like,
it really is. Yeah, you're right.
Right. Unless you're
but not backup quarterback years.
Yeah, not backup.
See, that's true. It's a different thing. Yeah,
it's totally different. And they do have more of a role than any other backup position in terms of what you're expected to do. Like, so I don't fault anybody for, as unglorious as it may seem, in the grand scheme of your life's story. I do not fault anybody for aspiring to be a backup quarterback. So if Bagent said that's what I aspire to do, is to just be a awesome backup quarterback, I wouldn't fault him for it, and I would gladly take him on my team. But you take one look at that guy, and he's like, no, he wants to be on the field.
He wants to start.
Oh, for
and
sure.
And so if that's what he wants to do, Bears, please let him do
it. He went through the holy shit, I'm here, and I made it, to the hell, I can do this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now I deserve a shot.
Yeah.
And the reason I say I'll take him too is because, like, I foresee at some point we're going to have to use a backup quarterback, and having Bagent as your backup quarterback, I think is a good option for the on-field team.
Right.
But I think having Case Keenum as your backup quarterback for the off the field stuff and the mentorship of Caleb Williams is far more valuable. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely necessary. So
there's a great comedy sketch by Daniel Tosh about everyone giving Brett Favre hell for staying too long.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys see that?
I got to check that out because
Tosh. Oh God, it's so funny because he's like everyone's giving Brett Favre shit for staying around or whatever. He goes, do you know how much a backup quarterback in the NFL makes? Yeah, I'm going to do that. And you know what? Maybe another 3 or 4 years, he's not good enough to be the backup, but he's good enough to be third string. His starter makes league minimum. What is that, $800,000 a year? Yeah, I'm going to do that too.
right.
I'm staying out there until I turn into a cloud of dust when I get hit.
And it's all in the delivery with Tosh too. And you
Oh my
almost get the
God,
mannerisms down too.
It's
Yeah.
so funny. Yeah,
I-
I'm gonna do that too.
And there's like a very real thing. I'm sure this might be obvious to a lot of people. There's like a very real psychological thing that athletes go through when they realize their mortality in their sport.
Oh yeah.
You know, and like, and not to get all deep or anything, but like that's all you know, because you've been groomed that as through your childhood to get to this level of sport. And then, as we've talked about, your career is 10 years, 15, 20 years, maybe, and on the extreme ends of the case. Then you retire after that. What the F do you do with yourself after that? You know, like, and that realization hits people, you know, a lot harder, I feel like, when they're in pro sports. You know, to your earlier point about, oh, these kids in college, it's heartbroken for them, they lost national championship game. There's a solid amount of those kids that are not going to go on to the NBA, and they're going to have to immediately deal with the mortality of their sport right now. Probably, you know, NCAA is a great level to even get to for basketball. But you still have a ton of your life moving forward to figure out what you want to do, you know, and I just feel like there's a lot of pro people that go through this, and it's routine, it's repetition. There's no reason, like a select few kind of like think, oh yeah, maybe I should start taking my generational wealth and creating vehicles for me to invest that into that can sustain me and my family beyond professional sports. But like, mentally, what does that feel like to be like, okay, I'm done now, and I'm 40
Imagine
years old,
retiring at 31 years old.
right? Yeah, like what are you gonna do, man?
I can't imagine that, Joey, at all. No,
I mean,
and
look, Kuechly, like, he was absolute top of his game, crushing it, and then out of nowhere, he's like, I can't continue to do this to my body.
Yeah.
And my mental health and like physical health, all that stuff means a lot more to me than this paycheck does. I'm out.
Yeah.
Like,
Barry Sanders.
Yep. Well, I mean, it's like the same thing, you know, it's like that quote from Moneyball, where like Billy Bean's talking to the recruiters and all that stuff. Like, well, can he go to college first and then play or whatever? And he's like, this is for now. He's like, it doesn't matter if you're 18 years old or you're 40. We all here. We can no longer play the young man's game. But we all hear it at some point.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. But only 1.2% of NCAA players actually go on to play in the NBA.
Right.
Yeah.
And then only the average lifespan in the NFL is only 3.3 years.
I was going to say, it's like even less make it.
Jeez, that's a crazy stat to me. I mean, like, yeah, when you think about like how many people, don't make, long-term rosters with and contracts.
Most
with
of
NFL.
those are at league minimum.
Right. Yeah. No, you're right.
I mean,
especially
how many,
given 53-man rosters. I mean, yeah, that's a lot of.
How many people get drafted and then not make the cut that year?
Jeez,
right.
Yeah.
A lot of 6th round, 7th round guys never see the field.
Yeah.
So it looks like rookie year you're going to make $795K. You got 1 year, you get $915. 2 years, $985. 3 years, $1 million. And then 1.1 and 1.2 for 46 years and 7+ years. Not a bad career.
No.
So can't, if you're making league minimum after 7+ years, that's, I don't know who's doing that in the NFL, because you're not in the NFL anymore if you're still making league minimum for that amount of time. I mean, at some point in time you weren't making league minimum. So, but pretty crazy.
Yeah, we were talking about that the other day, my wife and I, when we went to like a minor league hockey game, and we were like, what do you think minor league hockey players make? And like, I
60,000, 40,000.
Yeah. The average was 55. So you're pretty well spot on. And that was, what I kind of expected. But, hockey does have 2-way contracts. So those, though, like if you're good enough in the minor leagues and you have a 2-way contract, you make a different amount when you're up in the club versus down with the minors. So there is that, but yeah, like it's just funny to me, like the drop off when you get to like minor league sports, like
Were you
these,
watching Steel?
it's hard for them to figure it out because it's hard to live off of that salary, like unless you're a kid that can stay home with mom and dad, and figure it out through those 5-6 years of sitting in the minors.
Passion of the game, man. It's
pure passion. Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Well,
Were you
the
watching
hard part is you can't even spend money like you have money, because I mean that 40,000-60,000 could be gone tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
If you get sent down or just flat out cut,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Were you watching the Ice Hogs or the Steel or what?
No, we went to the Wolves game. Took the boys to the Wolves.
That's what I meant, the Wolves.
Yeah.
That's
No,
a good-
Hogs are great. I would love to go to
love
more
watching
Hogs games, since they're the Chicago or the Hawks affiliate at least. So
Right.
it's always
They're a
fun
lot
to
of
see
fun.
those games.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've been to a lot of Hogs games. We haven't taken the boys to them yet, but this is the first time we took the boys to a hockey game. We recently took them to the Windy City Bulls in Hoffman, which is the G League Bulls team. They had some fun. They liked it, and I mean they're 4-3, so it was great to even make a half of that game, and since they're
you don't feel bad
cost
about
effective. Yeah, exactly. Since they're cost effective tickets, it doesn't really bother us. So we took them to the Wolves a couple weeks ago. They loved it, and
Let's go.
yeah,
It's a good time. Well, now you can take them to a Bulls game. Don't worry, no one's watching.
The Bulls.
Yeah.
Au contraire, mon frère. The Bulls are somehow managing
I know.
together right now.
For how long we'll find out, but
yeah, we'll have to see. They might even there's some crazy people that did the math on that they could still, although they were playing tonight and I think they lost to the Cavs. There's still one scenario, even with a loss tonight, where they could actually make it out of the play-in tournament and into a 7 seed, which is kind of crazy to think, but
it's crazy.
This guy Giddey that they got in the trade with for Levine.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm sure you saw it, even as not a basketball fan. Probably the best Chicago sports moment in a really long time. The other day, he hit a half-court buzzer beater to win the game. Like, just insane. And the last minute of that game was even more insane. I was watching it on my phone. They were down, I think, got to a point where they were like down 6-7 points or something like that. They had the ball. Giddey airballs a freaking layup, just completely airballs a layup. I'm like, this game's freaking over. Like, so I put it down to the side. There was less than a minute left. They were down 6. They just turned the ball over. All of a sudden, like, the alert pops up for the end of game, and I glanced at it, and I'm like, the fuck? Like, am I seeing this right? They actually won? So I went back and rewound my feed real quick to watch it, and like, it was the most insane sequence. Like, yeah, he airballs that. I don't know what happened next, but they knocked down a big 3. As soon as they knock down this 3, LeBron goes to inbound the ball. LeBron's lazy ass inbounds it half-assed. Giddey steals it immediately, feeds it to Kobe White. Kobe White knocks down another big 3. And then, it was like 6 points in like a matter of a couple seconds.
Amazing.
And it was insane. And then they get down to like free throws on the other end. They have no timeouts left. The Lakers knock down 2 free throws. Inbound from full court. Giddey's like, gets the secondary pass. So inbound pass, and then he's the inbounder, comes back, gets the ball, dribbling down the court. LeBron again doesn't feel it necessary to even guard this guy or contest this shot whatsoever. Half-ass puts his hand in front of his face. Giddey heaves a 45-footer from half court, nails it, game over, Bulls win. The crowd's going absolutely nuts. There was the best AP picture I've ever seen of the entire year was yeah, I just did that too. That like just this picture of Giddy standing there with his goosenecking with the arm up, and LeBron's face is just like
hanging.
just
Yeah.
hanging. It was like the greatest.
Frame it.
As a LeBron hater, a Bulls fan, and like it was the best moment in like Chicago sport. Like I mean, and realistically, how many times do you see like a half court buzzer beater in the NBA? Like it doesn't.
You don't unless you're watching the playoffs, and even then,
Right? Yeah.
at least lately. I mean, because nobody cares.
Nobody cares, right? Yeah. So
I mean,
it was
when the White Sox finally broke that losing streak last year. I'm sure that was exciting. You know.
Mhm.
About it.
No, that was great. I love that.
Yeah.
The Cubs fan.
Yeah, that clip went viral of those 6 points. That was pretty amazing.
Yeah, that was nuts. And then Stacey King, the call from Stacey King was cracking me up. He did the Sanford and Son
Yeah.
thing. He was like, oh, I'm coming, Sheila, I'm coming. This is a bad one. It's a bad one right now. Take me. I'm coming home.
He's funny.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, boys. Closing remarks.
Yeah. We're getting down to the end here. Anything?
No, it was good. It was good to be back in the saddle. It's been a while.
Yeah, definitely. It has been a while. So definitely getting to a point where we're going to get back on a regular schedule with this stuff, get some tech issues figured out and get things polished up. Looking maybe a little bit more professional, hopefully by the next few streams. And yeah, we appreciate
yours, but it'll all be good.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
I made some progress on the design stuff this week. So that's
excellent.
good.
Excellent.
So,
looking forward to seeing it, and
have
and looking
you
forward to polishing this stuff up for the folks on YouTube.
Sounds good. Seeing all the stuff all the stuff that you've done for your on the app inspired me. I gotta get this thing going. I gotta
yeah. We got like some thumbnails and stuff. We're gonna do some shorts. We got some content.
Some gifts. Some gifts.
We got some content playing for the folks.
YouTubers, we got some exciting stuff coming up for you. Courtesy of Andy, he's putting together one hell of an app. It's gonna allow us. He's putting in the work.
We got to get it to work.
So
but, yeah,
gonna be a lot of fun once we get it working. So we'll get it.
So teaser, stay tuned to the Just a Bit Outside podcast because we got some big things coming. So with that, we'll sign off for the night. Cheers, boys.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers.
We'll see you next time.
All right.
Take care.